Welcome back. It has been a long week with this trailer. Not the one behind me, with this trailer. I made a few amateur rookie mistakes. Let's show you what I got, and then we'll tell you what we're gonna do today. Well, here she is. This is the utility trailer that we fixed all up, all nice. And I made an amateur mistake on the way home. On the first trip, I wrecked my rim. Must have forgot to tighten the lug nuts. I pulled it up from down at the hill, and I just put the wheels on, and I forgot to tighten them. Now I'm gonna see if I can get some extra nuts and washers on some of these to try to hold the tire on there so I can get this thing moving. Well, I stole 2 lug nuts off the other side and used the 3 that were here and a bunch of washers. Got a little bit of wobble in it. So I actually went and got 2 new wheels. I'm gonna use this one as a spare because I didn't have a spare for this trailer. And so we'll mount that somewhere here on the side. I think there's a place for it already. And then we'll put the tire that matches the other side on here. The rim won't match, but the tire will. But one of the things I wanted to do when I renovated and overhauled this whole trailer was to make a bin or basket on the front or side somewhere where I could store fuel or chainsaws or tie down straps or things like that. So the plan today is going to be to build a bin. So I can't put it right down in this spot because I've got the jack handle there. As I spin it around, there's not a lot of room there. So my plan is to put it up a little bit higher. I have a few scraps laying around. I still have this old piece of metal I got. This thing was, I don't know what this thing was, but it's been useful. I've cut lots of pieces off of it. So we've got some angle iron here that we can use. I've got a little piece of square stock that I can use and some other pieces here that I can cut off. And I also have all of this wire mesh. So this is pretty thick gauge steel. The idea will be this will be a see-through, pass-through. It won't be weatherproof or anything like that. I'm not trying to go for that. When I'm out and about and I need to cut something or I want to throw some straps in there, I'll just use it and then I'll empty it out. It won't be permanent storage with this. I got a new welder to try out today from Welder. So let's get this all my pieces cut up. I'll cut up a bunch of angle in here. I'm gonna use the plasma cutter that I have, and we'll get this all cut up to size. We'll get all of our pieces ready and ready to weld, and then we'll bust out this welder and I'll show you what we got. So first we're gonna set up the Firstus MP200. This one has the plasma cutter on it, and then next when we get ready to weld, we'll fire up this new DP200. Okay, let's get the new welder set up so we can do some MIG welding. I am a amateur, which is I think part of the beauty of this particular welder. It's super easy to use, so a lot of people complain when I show products. They say, this is so expensive, Todd, how can I can't afford all these things. Well, this is a very, very affordable welder. It's great and easy to get started. So I'm gonna show you, this thing's like completely automated. So we'll hook up our ground to the positive here. It just spins in. This jumper, some of them have a jumper on the inside. This one has a jumper on the outside. This is just going to, for our flux core MIG welding, this is going to go into the negative side. There's different guns and different attachments here. We're going to be using the flux core wire feed. So we're going to take this as it's all pinned here so you can't screw it up. This is just going to fit right in here. Comes with extra other size tips if you're using different size wires. That's just for different gauge steel and different applications. This is also can be used as a stick welder. This is the stick welding clamp, and then this obviously, I think this gets flipped for stick welding. And of course you can hook up gas if you want to do regular MIG welding with a inert gas. This welder is 110 volts or 220 volts. I am running it 220 today. I'm going to show you how I did that with an adapter on my generator. I just went up to Home Depot. I'll put a link in the description to all this stuff on Amazon or Home Depot, but this is just a generator twist lock plug. It's a 30 amp twist lock plug. I had them cut me off a 4-strand 10 gauge 1 foot piece of wire. I think it was like $6, and then I just bought this it's like a stove outlet, and just wired it up. It's pretty simple. There's a 4-conductor on this end, so you hook up your white ground, black and red, and then on this end you're going to leave out the neutral so the white does not get connected. So this allows me to use my generator twist lock and hook up the welder. So before we do that, we're going to open up the side panel, and I already put a spool of wire on here. It has this is flux core wire. It's 0.035 inches. This has a little spring on it that you'll use to adjust. The wire is going to feed off the bottom of the spool straight into here, and there's a small diameter little bearing right here, and it has different size grooves in it. And so you'll just need to check and make sure I'm using, again, 0.035. That's the size. If you're using different size wire, you switch this around. You want to tighten this down because you want some tension on this thing. You don't want it to spin freely. Feed it in as far as we can go, and then we'll use the machine to do the rest. I'm going to try my first run without grinding anything, with all the rust on it, see what happens. Okay, so I brought the machine into the shop so that you could see the screen. It's so sunny outside. This welder has a couple one-of-a-kind features that make this perfect for the beginning welder or any welder. It has a giant screen on it, so it's real easy to find all the settings. So if you hit the home button, this takes you back to the main settings. It's very simple to find and search through. You've got MIG, MAG. This has a few different features on it, including the single pulse and double pulse, your flux cord, which is all that I'll be using today. You also have a TIG welding option, a stick welding option, and then you can go in and change your basic settings of the machine. If you choose, let's say like what we're using today is our flux core, you can actually go through and it has various presettings. So you don't have to, I'm a pretty amateur welder. I don't understand all the differences, but you know, voltages and amperages and all the different settings and everything on here. So this makes it very easy. You first select the type of metal that you're going to be using, which we're using steel. That's all it lets you select with flux core. This is the size of the wire. So we're going to be using 0.35 today. So then you can select the actual gauge of metal. So this will automatically use the presets in the system. So if you're doing something really thin, this won't let you select anything thinner than 18 gauge in this in flux core setting. But 16, 14, and then 1/8 inch. 1/8 inch is what we're using today, which is actually the biggest it really thinks that you should be using this for, which is fine. Anything bigger than that, you can get into your stick welding and other things. The nice thing too is that it has memory settings. So if you do find you need to fine tune this a little bit, you can adjust some of the settings on the fly with whatever material you want. Then you can go into a memory slot and you can actually save up to 50 different presets in here of different settings that you have. So if you're using certain, maybe you're doing overhead welding and you want certain settings, or you're welding on rusty metal or something like that, you can set all kinds of different settings once you get more familiar with the welder. So literally all you need to do is fire this thing up, select the kind of welding that you need, hook everything up, and you're ready to weld. So although I'm using all flux core setup today, and I was using 220 volts on the generator, I'm gonna flip over to 110 volts and we're gonna weld up the rest of this. I've got a few pieces left to weld, just to show you that this can operate on both. A lot of people don't have an option to hook up 220 in their shop or their garage or whatever, so you can just run this off regular 110 volts. I will say, I know a lot of my welds were kind of messy. It's always dangerous to go on YouTube and do any kind of trade skill because there's lots of better equipped people out there. But I'm an amateur and maybe you are too, and this welder will work perfectly for you. The idea is to glue metal together. I will say, working with a lot of old rusty metal, sometimes the welds aren't gonna turn out perfect because I don't have time to clean up everything perfectly. And so, sometimes you just kind of burn through everything, get a lot of spatter, and then you grind it up and clean it up when you're done. So I pulled everything up to the garage. It got late last night and it started raining actually. So stuff started rusting up on me already. But everything is pretty much done. The only thing I have to do, this is not put in here yet, these two end pieces, and then I've got the end piece down there. And I actually ran into kind of a problem that I'll show you here in a minute. All I'm doing with these is just very low power. I'm actually going to turn the settings down to the lower powered setting because this metal is quite a bit thinner. I'm just tacking the stuff in to the ends here. So all this needs to do is just hold it in, enough to not move. And so you've got some, and just building little piles of weld to connect these pieces up. I think this is the configuration that we're going to go with. I put the bar covers on, putting them in and out of this metal. I don't want to mess up my chains. A little different than I originally thought because, again, I put this extra lip on here. This was supposed to be a flat piece of metal on the front, but I just had this piece and I decided to use it at the last minute, not thinking about that it would shrink my opening size. So my gas can doesn't fit in there this way, it only fits that way. But I am able to put my kit with all my tools in it, both saws, my chain, my bar oil, and my gas can all in there. It's strong. I was standing in it, jumping on it. It's not going anywhere. Let's get it painted. Well, I think that brings this little project to a close. It took me a lot longer than I thought to cut up all this metal and put it together. There's actually a lot of welds involved in this little square. But I love showing off products like this because they make my life easier. When I first got an inexpensive welder for the first time on the homestead, it really changed the things that I can do here. There's been so many things that have broken my wood splitter, things that I've needed to build or repair that I just needed a welder for. Not only is this an easy to use, has all those presets in it, but it actually has software updates. So as they release new software, new presets, new features, you can actually plug this thing in via USB and update the software in it, which is, I think, the first of a kind. I've never seen that available in a welder. Let me know what you guys think of the trailer bin, trailer cargo net thing. I don't know, I think it's gonna be pretty handy. I'm always throwing my chainsaws on top of my pile of wood, and eventually I'm gonna lose one of them. So I think this keeps things more secure. And let me know what upgrades you would make or what changes you would have made for the project. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks for tagging along today, guys. We'll see you next time.